saying people stay quiet. We are seeing organizations stay quiet. We are seeing those who are capitulating to clearly unconstitutional threats. And these are the things that we are witnessing each day in these last few months in our country. And it understandably creates a great sense of fear. Because, you know, there were many things that we knew would happen. Many things. I'm not here, so I told you so. I swore I was going to say that. I'll say this. Fear has a way of being contagious.
Yeah.
Okay. When one person has fear, it has a way of spreading to those around them and spreading. And we are witnessing that, no doubt. But I say this also, my dear friends, courage is also contagious. Courage is also contagious. We're saying people stay quiet.
Welcome to the Friday edition of Let It Be Known. And I am your host, Stacy Brown, and this is the morning show for BlackPressUSA.
Good morning, Stacy, and good morning, Let It Be Known family. I'm Niele, and this is the place where we uplift and amplify Black voices and bring you the headlines that are important to the Black experience. And Kamala reappeared yesterday.
Boy, did she ever. And, you know, her words, she didn't say exactly, I told you so, which is what they wanted her to say, which she laughed about. But she said, I told you so. She said, I told you so. It all added up to that.
Yeah, there was a big commotion over on TikTok about where is Kamala? Where is Kamala? Where is Kamala? Well, there she is. And she went viral with just that little clip.
Yeah, but it's like, why y'all asking for Kamala? Y'all, you know, y'all dissed her. Y'all didn't put her in office. Where she at? Oh, you know, you betrayed her. Now you want her. Now you need her.
But that's how they look at us Black folks. Like they want us to show up tomorrow to the protest. You know, they want us to be present, you know, at the protest. That's how they look at all of us. You know, we don't want you, but we need you to save us. We don't want you, but we want your milk. We don't want you, but we want you in the field. You know, they need us. You know, they need us.
Milk? What do you mean the milk?
You know, I took a trip back to slavery, and I was thinking about them white babies.
I mean, I know it's Friday in the L ready for the weekend. I'm about the milk. I couldn't let that slide.
You know, I had a flashback, you know.
You had a flashback?
I had a flashback.
Okay. Well, you know,
it's the ancestors. Now. I had one.
It's interesting because, you know, not only have folks been saying, where's Kamala? Where's Barack Obama? And he appeared yesterday. Now, it's interesting because on the Shade Room, there was some shade thrown at Barack yesterday.
Well, yeah. But let's just say Obama did appear. He was, you know,
you don't want to tell us about the shade?
I'm going to tell you about the shade, but he was looking at the cherry blossoms. So he did appear, you know, and the viral moment of him.
I'm not talking about that.
Well, I'm just saying I'm leading up to, you know, he appeared, you know, looking at the cherry blossoms in DC. Okay, there he is.
He photobombed somebody.
He photobombed 2 little kids. Cute moment. You know, he reshared it. Viral moment. I haven't seen the clip that you're talking about, but I don't know. I executive produce a weekly show for the Shade Room called TSR Live. And one of the things that I try to do over there, because, you know, Shade Room, I guess I say we too, because I'm part of team, but I don't do the day-to-day, posting, but I do the weekly show. So one of the things I try to do is amplify Black voices over there, to kind of get the millennials and the Gen Zs involved in politics. And so yesterday we had Tamika Mallory and Angela Rye, and we like to do these debates. And so one of the debates was a clip from Michelle Obama and her brother's podcast about, young people have too much expectations for happiness, and they have to learn how to just deal with daily living. They have a problem with just being normal, ordinary people. And that's what really life is all about. And Angela just was like, I'm not really interested in that. Where they at with what's going on with our nation? And I would appreciate if, the podcast is cute, and I'm paraphrasing, the podcast is cute, but we need y'all to pull up to the issues. So when you said that, and I'm sure you'll see a clip on the Shade Room, but so when you said Barack Obama showed up, I guess, the tension is real and they feel it. I'm pretty sure people in his comments when he posted the cherry blossom photo was like, that's cute, but where you at? I'm pretty sure he read the comments.
Well, Obama finally, other than photobombing folks, he did for the first time sharply criticize Donald Trump's efforts to reshape the federal government and crack down on immigration and dissent and intimidate news outlets, and also the legal establishment, because Trump is going after law firms too that he feel are not his friends. So it's really, really interesting. So Obama goes on to say that this is the first time I've been speaking publicly for a while. No kidding, Barack. He was on stage at Hamilton College, and he says, I've been watching for a little bit. And this is the thing that, and I this is a freeze frame moment. This is the moment right here where I think if it was going to resonate, it resonated. Now he did kind of soften it a little bit. He should have kept it hard, because he said, imagine if I had done any of this. And right there, I was like, this is the first time he's the Black president. The first time in all of his 8 years, and then all of the preceding years that's been, this is the first time that he is speaking as the Black president.
Well, I disagree. He did it when it was Trayvon Martin, and he did it with George Floyd. He did.
Yeah, but this is a crisis.
Do it then. That was a crisis then too. But you just said that he did it 2 other times when Trayvon Martin was murdered. So
this is the third time
George Floyd was murdered. Yeah.
I remember the Trayvon Martin thing, situation, I should say.
Well, no, not George Floyd. Yeah, because he wasn't president then, but he did do it for Trayvon Martin.
I remember the Trayvon Martin thing, because it really, really hit home. I mean, he's like, that could have been my kid, my son or whatever. But the fact that he said, imagine if I had done any of this. Now later, he goes on to say it's unimaginable. And this is the other part. He said the same parties, he didn't say party, the same parties that are silent now would have tolerated behavior like that from me. And then he added, or a whole bunch of my predecessors, which I think he should have left out. Because I think if Bush or Clinton would have went MAGA, it would have been like, okay, it's white man doing white man things.
I mean, Gavin Newsom is doing it right now. I mean, Gavin Newsom is playing with it. So
exactly. So I think he should have just cut it off at tolerated behavior like that from me. But nonetheless, I was like, okay, not Barack. It's almost like watching Tiger Woods be black. Like, wait a minute now, hold up. Of course, Tiger dating Trump's former daughter-in-law, but that's another story.
And Trump gave his blessing. He gave his blessing this week for that love affair.
Sure, he did. What did Tiger pay? What part of the remaining of his soul did Tiger pay for that? Oh my God, if he has a soul left. Obama went on to say that he doesn't think Trump's new tariff announcement is going to be good for America. No kidding, Barack. However, he said that he is more concerned with what he described as the White House's infringement on rights. He says, I'm more deeply concerned with a federal government that threatens universities if they don't give up students who are exercising their right to free speech. He says the idea that a White House can say to law firms, if you represent parties that we don't like, we're going to pull all our business or bar you from representing people effectively. That kind of behavior is contrary to the basic compact we has as Americans. He had warned that before that the country, what they were facing with a Trump second term, because he said just because Trump acts goofy doesn't mean his presidency wouldn't be dangerous.
Mm.
And look, those words cannot be truer. So Obama and Kamala Harris, whether or not it was planned or not, picked the same day to come out and come out forcefully. And in the vice president, in her case, the former vice president, in her case, she, hey, I told you so. She didn't say that, folks. As you know, everybody else said
Well,
it.
she giggled about it. Yeah,
But
she giggled about it, and she stuck a pin in it for a few minutes and just let it fill the air. And then she came back and responded. And I find it interesting that they did it the same week that Senator Cory Booker, did the 25-hour speech. And so,
was that part of it?
That's part of the conversation of the movement. But another thing that Tamika and Angela brought up yesterday was, why aren't more lawmakers following suit? It should have been another one. To your point, and you mentioned that earlier this week, it should have been another one and another one and another one. Like, okay, so maybe you guys don't think it should happen every day. Well, how about once a week? So who's pulling up next week to do the same?
Listen, it should be every day, really. At this point, I mean, this is a 10-alarm fire, if you will. This is not a 5-alarm. This is a 10-alarm fire. Everything's burning down and quickly. And for the idiots who want to come in and say that there's nothing wrong, that this unbelievable lunatic, what he's doing to the world, you want to support that, hey, go burn with it. But in any event, Orange E says they need to be asking, where's their own congressmen and congresswomen? Leave Black people alone. We are busy learning the line dances. Where those fans at? He got the fan out. He out there cooking on the grill. He making crawfish, and he got the fan going.
Right.
And Trump, Danielle Pierre mentions about the tariffs. She says Ford is now offering employee pricing. The other thing that he continues to do, and I wrote about it at BlackPressUSA.com, is pick on Africa. And we also know that, before I get to the Africa stuff, he put a tariff on a small nation that doesn't have people.
Yeah, that was going viral too.
And
it falls right in line with who he is and how dumb he is.
But this, the other thing he did is like this 50% tariff on the Kingdom of Lesotho, which is it's a small African, Southern African mountain kingdom. They don't bother anybody. Just Black people. They're living their lives, and he apparently got upset when he heard, without verification either, by the way, about Lesotho having this program in which they actually help LGBT people, LGBTQ plus people who might be suffering with some illnesses, healthcare stuff. And he got upset about that. And so he slammed them with these huge tariffs. The biggest tariffs just about that he's given out is like 50%. But he continues to meddle in African affairs. And as we said yesterday, the head of the Africa's CDC was like, you know what? the chicken's gonna come home to roost eventually. You're gonna need us.
Right. They always do. They always do.
So
And
this guy,
that's the silver lining of it all.
it is. It really, you know, if you want reason to kind of look at the positives, because you always need a reason to look at the positives. That is, I agree with you 100%. It is going to come around eventually, as they say. What goes around does come around.
Right. And just think about how much more powerful April 5th tomorrow would be if Black folks were invested in what was happening tomorrow. I mean, because you don't hear that much about it. You hear about it, but it's just not resonating. You know, we're sitting over here posting how stock is dwindling over at Target. You know, we're sitting over here talking about, okay, Jamal, Pastor Bryant, what's next? So, I mean, they're going to feel it tomorrow too. You know,
yeah, they're gonna feel it,
because I'm sure Black folks is gonna be to Orange G's point, they're gonna be posting fan dances like crazy tomorrow just to prove the point.
That's the one reason to keep your eye on social media tomorrow, because that is probably what's gonna dominate social media
for Black folks on the Black folks timeline. You know, because you got multiple timelines going on, but for the Black timeline,
is there any more Black Twitter?
I don't do Twitter, so I have no clue.
Yeah, I can't really do much of
I never was a big Twitter fan. So when Elon Musk bought it, it wasn't really a big deal for me to not participate because I really wasn't participating anyway. But I heard the Black community on Twitter is lit.
Okay. Because I know a lot of folks have gone over to Blue Sky. And so have I. I mean, I use Blue Sky a lot now too. So,
and speaking of social media, tomorrow's the deadline for TikTok. But everybody's not going crazy anymore. Like last time, we thought the world was falling apart, but now it's just kind of like,
now Jeff Bezos is trying to buy it. So,
we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens. So, what's the Black trivia today? Do we know? Here it comes. All right, now at the 1917 Negro Business League Convention, she said, "I don't just make money, I create jobs for hundreds of women of my race." Oh, folks, who is she? At the 1917 Negro Business League Convention, she said, "I don't just make money, I create jobs for hundreds of women of my race." Oh man, please put that in the chat.
I'm gonna take a wild guess and go with Madam C.J. Walker.
You said it as the same time David Youngblood was posting that. Y'all, it was like almost like instantaneous. Y'all both said that. And Inferno 932 agrees as well. Wow.
I'm gonna go with Madam C.J. Walker, and I need some of that energy. Madam, bestow it. Bestow it.
Dr. Marilyn also says Madam C.J. Walker. And of course, what was said, we have stock in fan base with Isaac Hayes III. Absolutely, fan base. Fan base is still really, and Isaac has these meetings. Even if you're not a stockholder, I think you can jump in on those meetings. But he has these regular meetings, and they're open. You can ask questions. You can talk to Isaac. I like the transparency that he tries to put forth there. And fan base is a really, really good and still emerging platform. So yes, we certainly encourage fan base for sure.
Right.
There's been other apps. There's been other apps that come up, but you don't hear a whole lot, like Threads and Spill. I think Spill Black owned as well.
Spill is Black owned.
I
remember they did something with the NAACP Image Awards a couple of years back, but Threads is owned by Meta, which is Mark Zuckerberg.
Okay, so we don't really need to mess with that either. Okay. All right, so we got our Black trivia. We want you guys to continue put it in. It seems like unanimously everyone so far is saying Madam CJ Walker. So we'll see what the answer is.
Well, since everybody's doing that, drop in the chat too some more Black millionaires in the early 1900s that we may not know about. We don't know if that's the right answer, but it would be nice to know, bring up some Black millionaire energy, So just drop them in there so we can research them. But we're going to go with Madam C.J. Walker as our first choice.
All right. But, also this morning, I wanted to talk about medical schools across America are witnessing a troubling decline in Black student enrollment, with numbers dropping by 11.6% for the 24-25 academic year. This significant decrease comes in the wake, of course, the Supreme Court's decision to overturn affirmative action in college admissions, creating what many healthcare leaders describe as a potential crisis for the future of equitable healthcare in the United States. This dramatic decline, by the way, Niele, reportedly has surprised many, including Dr. Oh gosh, the Meharry Medical College, my guy. He's my dude too, and I just can't call his name at the moment, but you know who I'm talking about. But we have it's hard enough to, when you go to the doctor, we have so many issues when it comes to medical care, and the health field itself, Black maternal health, maternal mortality, all that stuff. If you're hurting, don't expect it's so hard for a Black person to get any pain medication because they're already suspicious that we're going to be drug addicts, et cetera, et cetera. And now we're seeing that the pool for Black doctors, Black nurses, physicians, whatever, getting more and more shallow. This is troubling.
Education is expensive, and especially if you look at what the Trump Klan administration is doing, the resources aren't there for us. You know what I mean? The loans, not the loans, but the grants and the scholarships. And so, at one point, this number, it was flipped and everybody was praising how, Black people are the most in medical school and things like that. And now it's reverting back. And especially with these millennials and Gen Zers, they are really wanting to be self-made. They're not really wanting to be a part of just the day-to-day system that this country is known to operate on. And so I think you have a little bit of that. And then I think, you have a little bit of people just not wanting to acquire so much debt just to be a doctor, which is sad.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then we know that there are reports that find that when we have physicians that look like us, our health is better, and the treatments that we receive is better. So it's like it's a loss in multiple ways.
Yeah, and I want to get to the chat because they are listing some Black millionaires from the 1900s as you have requested. But before I do that, the first thing I did not do this morning was acknowledge Happy Swag Hoodie Day. Niele is she's rocking something, but what RNG is rocking is fam. Well, RNG is rocking FAMU, and he says, by the way, Niele, the only thing that I am protesting this weekend is my wife making me mow the lawn. He has crawfish to boil and OE 800 to drink. So he's extra busy. So he's rocking FAMU. What you got there?
Oh, I'm rocking one of my Black t-shirts, lead like Harriet, fight like Malcolm, think like Garvey, write like Maya,
Build
just,
like Madam.
yeah. Build like Madam. Yeah, just getting the ancestors' energy in me, trying to figure this out. I'm loving the question because I hope it is Madam C.J. Walker because I want to be like her.
On the shirt.
Yeah, and I want to be like her. I want to be self-made, okay? I don't want nobody telling me nothing.
Nothing. Wait, you don't want them telling you nothing, not nothing.
Nothing, I want to talk. I don't need you to give me a seat at the table. I'm just gonna bring my folding chair.
Okay.
That's what I'm
Listen,
on.
we know that folding chair about a year and a half ago, that folding chair became extra famous, didn't it?
Okay. Use it multiple ways. Use it by any means necessary. Okay. That's Malcolm.
Well,
Fight
I was
like
going to
milk.
say, there you go. So some of the millionaires that our esteemed viewers are putting in, Dr. Marilyn says O.W. Gurley was a millionaire, Black Wall Street.
Let me write
Um,
that down.
O.W. Gurley. And then what was said notes that Alonzo Herndon was born into slavery in 1858, became Atlanta's first Black millionaire by founding the Atlanta Life Insurance Company, a successful Black-owned business after starting out as a barber. Wow, that is awesome. And then the screen name Nagon 11 says Bridget Mason, millionaire in the 19th century. And Daniela Pierre says, check out D.A. Dorsey, the first Black millionaire of Miami.
All
Ah,
okay.
okay.
Call them out, call them out.
And
I don't
then
think
here,
we
you talk.
keep it going.
Well, if you talking about calling them out, I got to go back to our boy. He says we would have more Black millionaires in the 19th century if white people didn't steal our inventions from different ways to make cotton useful to the super soaker. Black people have invented a lot.
Right. So, which brings us to the question of should we really have stayed segregated?
Mm-hmm.
And built Black wealth. You know what I mean? Like all of these things go through your mind now when we look at where we're at. We want it to be integrated so much, and look at where we at now. It's a provocative question, but it's worth a thought.
Listen, and look what David Youngblood. So I didn't know this. He says I was shocked by the millionaire Stephen Fetchit and his contributions. Interesting stuff. Oh man, I think you've wakened up. You've awakened something in folks with that question this morning.
and that's what we're on. Like that's kind of in connection with where them fans at, where them dollars at. And while the rest of y'all can save America, we about to save ourselves. That's that's part of the concept of the fan. Where them fans at, where like I'm trying to figure this out my way on my terms.
That's right. That's right. We did it our way. I did it my way. Damon Wayans opened up a can of worms on Club Shay Shay, saying that the more money you make, the less Black people you see. And it's divide and conquer, he said. He talked about how Beyonce, Michael Jackson, Venus, and Serena Williams all ditched their dads as managers. And he also likened being on top to a pretty woman on her menstrual cycle. I don't know if you saw that, but he made sense. He made sense when how he said that part. By the way, it wasn't he wasn't being crass or anything. He was asked by Shay Shay there.
Shay Shay.
He was asked about. He asked him. Shannon said, especially in the '90s when you were really, on top. What was that like? And he said that it was painful. He said that it was like a pretty woman being on her period. And he said, you look good, but people don't know you got all the cramps and you're bleeding.
Oh my God.
Like, okay. I said, okay. But what he was describing was being famous. He said being famous is like that. And for a lot of people. And it's not as, he said it's not all what it's cracked up to be. Yes, the money is good, he said, but everything else that comes with it. But the part of the part that I thought was okay, the part I thought was interesting was the part where he said that the more money you make, the less Black people you see. And we often talk about, Black folks often talk about, okay, this guy got a white woman or she's got a white man or blah blah blah. And his point was what he was saying kind of helps you to understand why that might be the case, whether we agree or not. But he says you move into different neighborhoods, zip codes, and stuff like that, and now all you got is white folks around you. What do you think of that?
I agree in a sense. But you brought up Jay-Z and Beyonce. I think that some Black folks make an intention to stay connected with community while others just elevate. And I think that the Carters do both. I think it's more so, well, I'm not gonna even say more so on whose side, but I think that they make a conscious decision, to stay connected, because and it's a private thing for them. Like every now and then you might see a clip of Jay-Z throwing his mama a party with the Isley brothers. You know what I'm saying? Or I just saw earlier this week, Beyonce was at her uncle's repast. Or just, you might see Beyonce at the family block party doing the Cupid Shuffle. Some people make an intention, to stay connected, to stay grounded. And it's at the detriment, like when COVID hit. Beyonce intentionally made a whole website for Black businesses. You know what I mean? And so for Black folks, it has to be an intentional effort, because once white folks feel like we are a commodity or they can make money off of us, they swallow us up and they tend to gatekeep who can come in. I mean, you see that at the red carpets. Think about the Grammys and stuff, and how Black reporters and journalists are always saying that the white publicists shush them on by. You know what I mean? They really make an intention, white folks, and I'm talking about the agents, the movie companies, they really make an intention to, once they find something, a Black person that they like, to gatekeep them. And a lot of times Black folks allow that to happen.
And he made the point of, and I mentioned Beyonce and Michael Jackson, Venus and Serena, they all were managed by their fathers at some point. And he made a point of saying that they ditched their dads. And, there are various reasons why these people had to go in, or felt they had to go in a different direction when it comes to management. My issue is not that they eventually had to break ties as far as being managers with their dads. My issue is, and I don't even know who Beyonce's manager is. I don't know who
her and Jay-Z and Beyonce manage each other.
They don't have managers.
They got no. They have a team. Like she has her publicist Yvette, but Beyonce controls.
Is Yvette a Black woman or white woman?
She's Black. She's Black.
Okay.
She's Black woman.
So
and I
know Jay-Z's guy. Jay-Z's publicist is white. Is a white woman. I know that. And this is where I was going to. That you're right about one thing you were saying. Well, you're right about one of the things you were right about. Let me put it that way. Was I do see a lot of clips and photos of Jay-Z with Black people. I do see that other Black rappers, whatever, right? Whereas on the other side of the coin, Dr. Dre is always with white folks and white business people. That's whole nother issue. But the thing I say is, these folks, you can't find, and I know you can't find Black talent. You can't find Black publicists, like to your point about them whisking them away on the red carpet, white publicists. You can't find Black accountants. You can't find Black managers. You don't have to have your dad. I get why Beyonce's dad is no longer her manager. I get why Michael Jackson left his dad. I get why Serena and Venus left their dad. It doesn't mean that they didn't stop taking care of their dads or stop loving their dads. It just meant that, hey, you can't take me where I need to go now. You brought me as far as you can bring me. And I appreciate that, and I'm always love you and take care of you for that. But now it's time to move on. But what I don't get from these folks, and I'm glad to hear, because I don't know I made it a point not to know a whole lot about Beyonce and her circle or whatever. It's not my business, and I don't really care that much.
Right, but just to the point.
I'm glad to know. To your point, I'm glad to know that she has a Black publicist. Right. I'm glad to know that she keeps in close contact with people who look like her.
Right.
I'm glad to know that. But my point with all of these, not Beyonce, but Jay-Z, the rest of them, all of them, is, why is it that when I call you, I'm talking to a white woman? Why is it when I reach out to you, I got to go through the white folks?
Well, maybe you don't know the right people.
No, this is the people that are in place that they have put in
Well,
place.
like I'm saying, I know, but no, maybe you're calling
No,
the wrong
because
person.
if I go to him and no, if I go to one of these folks directly, and this has happened a few times, oh, you got to call such and such. We talking already. We face to face. Nah, why don't you? I don't want to rock the boat with my publicist or with my manager. Call.
Yeah.
And it's some white folks. Right. And then you say black press, and then hanging the phone up. Oh, yeah, Jay is such and such is busy. Yeah. I even said to Jay-Z's publicist one time, because we were talking one time, and she's going on and on about his schedule, this and that, whatever. And I got so I got a little peep, and I said to her, let me ask you a question. You know what time he goes to the toilet? Because you seem to have, you seem to every time and frame and day and week and year I mentioned, you seem to have it accounted for. You must know when he's having sex with his wife. You must know when he's going to bed. You must know when he's going to the bathroom. I mean, it was so crazy, but it showed me that your job when somebody says black press or something, your job is to block. It's the block. And that's the problem with a lot of these black celebs and black billionaires too. There is many, and not to say that a black person, if you have black people in those positions, that the black press and black people would have an easier time getting through. It's not about that. It's where is the black folks? There are so many qualified black folks, and then people want to run around. That's why I don't pay too much attention and give too much credit because you gave to some black charity. I don't pay too much attention to that, because guess what? All it means is that you're paying less in taxes when the year ends. That's all that means. So I don't give you too much love for that. You got $1 billion. You got to do something with that $1 billion.
Well, I mean, a lot of times I don't try, like, I don't get involved in people's pocketbooks. And I don't there's a lot of things that people do that they don't do publicly. So to be able to just
I think that's
outside,
overblown
I'm
too.
not finished talking.
I know.
After you can't judge what people do with their pocketbooks, because we don't know in totality. We just don't know. But you can kind of tell. You can kind of tell. You can kind of look at people and see. You can kind of tell the ones that only come back to the community when they need to be saved or they need the community. And then you can kind of tell the ones that are out there just living their lives and they do give back. So you can kind of tell the good ones from the bad. Well, I won't say bad ones, but you can try to tell the ones that have stayed connected and the ones that have not. You can always tell.
I don't. The other thing, people say this a lot, and you just said it too, behind what they do and they don't make it public. That is a whole lot of baloney. And I'm going to tell you why I say that.
I mean,
I'm going to tell you why I say it.
Okay,
I'm going to tell you why I say it.
You're entitled to it.
I have been around a lot of these big time superstars. And not just the one that we were talking about yesterday. And they do not. They put out stories that they did this and they didn't do any of it. Well, what they have done in some cases is gotten someone else to do it, and they've taken credit for it. These people don't come off their money, especially when it comes to black causes, real black causes. They don't come off their money.
Oh, okay. So those are the ones that you know about. I mean, I'm in LA, I'm in Hollywood. And so I see a lot, like, Magic Johnson, prime example.
Magic Johnson is a great example.
Wait, I'm not finished.
Yes. I'm agreeing with you on that one.
He goes right down the street, around the corner from me. He goes to West Angeles Church of God in Christ. You might see him on a Sunday. He is in the community, and most of the stuff are not headlines, but he is here. Denzel Washington is another one. Goes to West Angeles Church of God in Christ, minds his business.
Stop. What, because they go to church?
No, No, because they're in the community, they're connected and they give
Okay.
back.
All right.
I've seen
So
it.
you
Angela
right.
Bassett. So what I'm
Okay.
saying is, to your point, you may have seen some, but that's not total. That's not
It's not
everybody.
everybody. No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not because the two of the people you mentioned, I have spoken with. I have been around Magic and Denzel, and I know their stories. I know what they do.
Mm-hmm.
I know that. And I've always been, especially Magic. I mean, I had one great conversation with Denzel one time, and but Magic I've talked to a few times. I know their story,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw firsthand um, what Denzel does in the community. I saw firsthand what Magic does. So you're right about those two for sure.
Mookie
So I'm not
Betts,
saying it's everybody.
Kobe Bryant, Shaquille. A lot of people do stuff. I mean, sometimes they may not answer some calls, but it doesn't mean that they don't contribute. And then there are those who, to Damon Wayans' point, I mean, they do get off in the clouds and they don't, they don't turn around. So I mean, I think it's a mixture of most, but as far as the Carters are concerned, I think that they do a lot for the community.
Hmm.
And a lot of other Black celebrities. So I don't want Issa Rae is another one.
Hmm.
She built her whole studio right over here in Inglewood, California. She has a restaurant on Slauson and upscale. So she is trying to, bring black Black excellence, Black fine dining experiences to the community. It's a lot of people out here that are doing great stuff. So I don't want to take that away from them. And I think the more money they make, the more intentional they have to be with staying connected, especially when they choose certain people. Like prime example, Tabitha Brown. She used to have Black representation and it used to be easy to get to her. Now it's like 10 steps to get to
Yes,
her.
yeah. I
But
don't know what to think of that.
she does make a connection, try to make a connection. If you see her, she tries, but it's just those gatekeepers. And a lot of times they don't even know about it. And then when you see them, it's like, well, I've been child, here go my number. Here's my personal email. So it's a lot of
And when they
different.
give you your personal number, they do the same blocks. I've seen that too. It's like, come on.
Well, I mean, everybody's
Eh,
experience is different. That's all I can say is everybody's experience is different.
yeah, well, I just, whatever. But anyway, Dr. Marilyn says, don't take her Black card away. She's not a fan of Shannon Sharp, but she enjoys some of his guests. She wishes he would
Yeah.
have a more of a diverse group of Blacks instead of comedians. Yeah, that's become his thing, right? To have really comedians,
Well, look,
for the most part.
if it's not broke, don't fix it. I
I
mean,
guess, yeah.
Cat Williams set him on fire. Cat Williams made him a household name, so he's trying to
Yeah,
follow that train.
I guess he's trying to recreate that. That's the thing too. You're never able to really catch that same lightning in the bottle. You
Mhm.
might get a little thunder around it, but you're not going to catch that same lightning in the bottle.
Right. So let me ask you a question, Stacy. Have you heard of the term expat?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, so expat, for those who don't know, is someone who lives outside their native country, often for work, retirement, or other reasons. And our next guest is just that. So I'm going to bring her in. She is a Grambling State University HBCU graduate, and she has moved to South Africa. Let it be known, family, welcome to Tuanni Price.
Oh,
Oh,
she got a little
we
technical difficulty.
Oh,
She
she
dropped.
dropped. She dropped.
Yeah.
Well, Tuanni, I'll talk a little bit about her story until she comes back. Tuanni is actually in South Africa now. She started a wine business out here, and she actually, the connection to BlackPressUSA, she actually used to provide the wine for Taste the Soul for the LA Sentinel when they would have mixers and things like that. She started this wine company. She decided to go to South Africa, and she never looked back. So she has
Nice.
created a whole life for herself in South Africa. She is beginning to dominate the wine industry, and she's going to join us to talk about her wine summit that she's having in South Africa on in September. And I'm going to let her talk more about that. But, you know, when we talk about what's happening with the Trump administration and how a lot of Black people are wanting to be world citizens and travel the world, I think this is a great story for us to, you know, take a dive in, because who knows, maybe we might all be needing to go to South Africa at the way Trump is acting. Hey there, Tuanni.
Hey, you guys. Listen, I'm having all kind of technical.
I think you got to fix your phone.
Okay, wait. So it's on landscape. Should it be on landscape or no? It's not good?
See. You're sideways.
Wait. Okay. What about now?
There you
go. Better.
Okay,
Stay there. Stay there. Stay there.
Okay. So I'm gonna stay here. I'm just gonna see if I can just put it on the middle. Okay.
Okay.
So hello, you guys.
I just thought that's how they did it in South Africa. Coming sideways.
Trust me, no, we are all the way, the right way, the correct way in South Africa.
Okay, so Tuanni, I was giving them a little background and actually giving a little connection to BlackPressUSA on how you used to provide wine experiences for the LA Sentinel for Taste of Soul.
Yes, I did. One of my favorite events. Girl, you know I like to keep it in the hood, right?
Right.
We were also talking about, I'm going to just talk to you guys a little bit about my LA connection too. And you talking about people giving back in the community. I actually worked for Magic Johnson Theaters. He was the first person, his company was the first person to give me a management position, which helped accelerate my career. So sometimes it's not always about passing out turkeys and food in the neighborhood. It's about creating spaces where we can excel. And that's what Afro Wine Week is, actually. So in South Africa, but it's really a global project. It's a global project where my vision is people who want to invest in the wine industry. And the wine industry is not just about what's in your glass. It's about hospitality, tourism, supply chain. There's so many different aspects. And if you have a little bit of money, you can come to South Africa, learn how to invest in the wine industry. This is the perfect launching pad if you want to support Black-owned businesses and Black talent, and then take it to a global platform. So, sorry, but that's what Afro Wine Week is.
So what does South Africa offer you spiritually, emotionally, and professionally? We see professionally, but spiritually and emotionally that the U.S. cannot, especially at this time.
I think that, you know, the moment I arrived in South Africa, I just had this feeling, and it sounds so cliche, but I just had this feeling that came over me that said, welcome home, cousin, right? And I use
like
that so often. And what is given to me spiritually is just like representation, right? So like, this is the only place in the world. I have a wine background. I'm a certified sommelier, and I started my wine business over 15 years ago. Niele knows this. She was one of the first supporters of my wine business. And this was before the George Floyd movement. This was before there were so many Black people in wine. And I would go to these wine events, and I'd be one of three, or I'd be the only person in the room. And in this day and age, that's not something to brag about. I was the only person in the room. So South Africa gives me a platform to be in rooms with people who look like me, who are just as talented, even more smarter. So that's spiritually what it gives to me. And what else did you say? Spiritually, professionally? Emotionally, you guys can tell, like, I'm about to get emotional now. Like, for me, South Africa is home, though. Like, honestly, people are like, do you miss the States? And of course, I miss all my close friends and family. But emotionally, this feels like home. I feel so connected. I wake up and I feel blessed every day.
Well, if you look at the television, I'm sure you probably, I don't miss that over there.
And it's crazy though, because even though this feels like home, and I love South Africa, America's also home. Like our ancestors, I always tell people, that's my home. I love America through and through. I'm a proud American. Our ancestors built that country brick by brick, literally, right? If they did a DNA test, our DNA would be in the bricks of the White House, right? So I love America, but this is home.
Okay. Wow. No
So,
place like home.
Tuanni, talk to us about what it's like living in South Africa.
Oh, Niele, you know how, so I don't know if you told them this, but me and Niele go way back. We actually went to Grambling together. So we were roommates.
You should have heard some of the stories she told us about you.
Oh, they're probably all true. No, but like the same lifestyle that I have. So I've always really loved to party. I've always loved the business and I love to party, right? I've always been about my grind and about like lifestyle and experiences. And South Africa offers that. Like people are amazed. When people come to South Africa, they're amazed that honestly, that is so civilized. But there's really amazing restaurants, there's nightclubs, like it has a nightlife that pretty much competes with the visa when you think about it. And I like to dance. I'm not all about business. And then the restaurants and then just the people. It's just an amazing place to be.
Nice. It's the industry, the wine industry is of course dominated by white folks. How radical is it that you are able to? Do you feel that you're able to excel in this because you do spotlight Black excellence?
I do. Oh my gosh. You know what? First of all, this Afro Wine Week is probably one of the scariest events that I've ever planned in my entire life, right? But I feel like God has me, so I'm not too worried. I'm not worried at all. I am scared, but I'm not worried. But I think I've been very successful in my wine business, in the wine industry. I'm very well known in South Africa, also in the United States. And I'm super proud of that because I've been able to lean into my culture. I've been able to lean into Black folks and uplift Black folks and still get international recognition. Like I've been in the Los Angeles Times, the New York Times, and not many people, their grandparents can be like, oh, my grandbaby was in the Los Angeles Times and the New York Times, So
And the Black press.
And the Black Press and the Sentinel, you know what I mean? Like, yes, and the Black Press, right? But yeah, so and international newspapers. But here I am waving this flag saying, let's support Black excellence in the wine industry. Let's support Black-owned businesses. Let's build wealth in this industry. And I'm accepted, you know what I mean? No doors are closed. People are so welcoming, especially in South Africa. The wine industry, as uneven as it is in its wealth and opportunity, it's still very welcoming, if that makes sense. It's still, I don't feel any racism. I just feel like everybody in this community is like, hey, how can we help other people be better?
Do you have any desires to start your own wine line or have your own vineyard?
Is that my goal?
Do you have any desire to do that? Okay.
No. So I did launch my own brand. It's called Tuanni Rosé, and it's a Black empowerment project. And if you look at the label, basically I helped design the label myself. It is technically just my handwriting. And it signifies the fact that no matter where you come from, who you are, you can write your own story. And we should all start to tell our own story, no matter what industry we work in, because for so long, we tell white people's stories or we let white people tell our stories. But it's so important for us to tell our own story and to pass down these traditions. So I do have my own wine brand, which I do want to continue the wine brand, but I have no desire to have a winery of my own. That's a lot of work, but that's what Afro Wine Week is. Afro Wine Week is for people who might have a dream of having their own winery, but it's a conglomerate, right? Like most wineries, they're family-run business. It's not just one person doing all the work. And so like at Afro Wine Week, hopefully we'll find some investors who say, you know what? I want to own a portion of a wine farm. I want to own a portion of a wine farm. And then they can put their money together and then voila.
Wow.
It's really just that easy to build wealth, especially in South Africa where the cost of entry is lower than it is in America. Now, if we said we need to go to Napa and buy a wine farm, the property in Napa alone is going to set us back millions and millions of dollars, right? But if you had about $3 million and you came to South Africa, you could buy the property and you can build a cellar for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. A couple of questions from the well, a few people are asking the same question in the chat. First and foremost, before I get to the question, I have to tell you that Dr. Marilyn says that you have a beautiful smile. But they're all asking about the tariffs. Are you experiencing any challenges or anything different? Are you expect to experience any challenges because of the tariffs here?
Definitely expecting to experience differences, right? I don't really know what the difference is going to be and how that's going to look. I can say that, tariffs can be complicated, right? Because we want to protect the American people, we want to protect the American product, but tariffs, the way they're set up, also help boost economies that are not as successful as the American economy, right? So if you're talking about a country that doesn't have the economy wealth of Americans, and you want to put a 30% tariff on that country because they're bringing products in and it's not fair, well, it's not going to be fair because America is like, that's like, America is the giant and then the smaller countries are smaller. I could see if they're going toe to toe with somebody like China, but like, come on now, smaller countries, it definitely seems a little bit unfair to me. But yeah.
What are some of the other jobs or opportunities in the wine industries besides maybe wanting to own your own vineyard? What are some of the other opportunities available?
I am so glad that you asked that question, right? Because besides owning your own vineyard, like one of the things that they struggle with in South Africa and a lot of wine regions struggle with is bottling companies, right? So there's not enough people who actually own bottling lines. So that would be a great investment if you had some money and you said, oh, you know what, let's open up a bottling line. We're going to schedule all these wineries during their bottling season to bottle their wine. So the truck actually goes out to the wine farm, bottles their wine for them. It's pretty much like heavy startup in the beginning, the cost to get the capital, but once you get the machines and you get the clients, it's like an easy money maker. So that tourism, owning a guest house in South Africa, in the winelands in particular, there's hardly any, I would say less than 3 Black-owned guest houses. And so like a guest house, a small hotel, that's another business that you can. And people are always going to the winelands, even if they don't drink, they go just because it's beautiful and you're in the country. So yeah.
Okay.
Some might consider, you're an expat, as she mentioned, your work in South Africa. They may consider that a form of resistance, a soft rebellion. Do you see it at all that way?
When you say some, like people in America or people
Even
in South
America,
Africa?
yes. No, in America.
As a rebellion, no. I mean, people have international businesses all the time. It's no different than if I went to France or Germany and opened up a business. Yeah. So it's not a self-resistance, but what it is a very hardcore and focused wealth building opportunity. And like, earlier when you guys were talking about, like, what celebrities do for the community and who's doing what, you know what I mean? This is just my way of doing something for our global community, like Afro people all around the world, right? The problem I feel like in the Afro community worldwide is the lack of ownership, right? The lack of us actually saying, when you look at the value chain of the wine industry, there's so many points of entry where you can make money, right? Not just having a wine farm or not just having a wine brand. Before you get to that, from the vineyard to the cellar, there's all kind of like ways to make money and to use your talents. And that's with any industry. I happen to focus on wine because that's my specialty. But when you just look at any industry and you look at the value chain, where can Black people have more ownership? And those are the questions that we should be asking each other. And those are the questions that we should, forget asking, a celebrity to pass out turkeys. Let's ask a celebrity to start entrepreneurship incubator. Let's like develop some of these ideas. And that's pretty much where my mindset is. And that's the whole point of like Afro Wine Week. It's like, I don't want people to if you want to come to South Africa and do charity work, by all means do it, right? But come to South Africa and build wealth. Like it's easier to do than if you were in the United States.
Yeah, that is fantastic. How long you been here now? I'm sorry, Niele.
So I first moved here in 2018.
Okay.
Yeah, so 7 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I mean, and Tuanni, let me just tell you, the joy is exuding from you. You could tell you don't. You could tell you don't live in America because we wake up every morning angry, okay? And you're just
Listen,
like,
I know. She
you
looks
know
like she's
what?
ready to have a bottle of wine right now.
what time is it there?
It's 2 o'clock, you guys. So like
Oh,
after
it's
this
wine
call,
time. You can have some
2
wine.
Listen, this is life in South Africa, right? It's 2 o'clock. It's a Friday. I know my phone's gonna start ringing with people saying, "Oh, what are you doing? Can we come by for a glass of wine or meet us here and there for a glass of wine?" Yeah. So it's an easier way of life. I always tell people that I'm in my soft girl era, right? Like, listen, I went to Grambling, so I paid my dues.
Right.
I went to a HBCU, and then I had my children young, and then I worked really hard. Like I mean I worked a lot, and so now I'm at the point where it's the cost of living is cheaper than it is in LA. I work hard, but I don't have to work 24 hours a day, and so my lifestyle is a lot better in South Africa. And no disrespect for the people who are living in South Africa working hard. You know what? I'm here. I'm trying to make sure that we could all have a nice, soft life.
I love it. I love
awesome.
it. I love it. What about the cultural differences? What were some of the cultural differences and challenges that you had to overcome when you first moved there?
I mean, first of all, I think that culturally, it's crazy how Black folks are alike no matter where you go in the world. I feel like culturally we have a base and we are alike, and our foods are a lot alike. Our foods are similar. But the difference is, one of the biggest differences that I had to adapt to in South Africa is just the slowness, right? The calmness, the slowness. In America, we're like, hey, everything is now, now, now. For example, in my apartment, I have a house phone, right? And this house phone is for when guests are downstairs. They call me up. The front desk calls up. And so like me and my American way, I know why they calling. They know why they calling. I just pick up the phone. I'm like, yeah, let them up. And then they play games with me. They'll be like, huh? What? They act like they have no idea what I'm talking about. And my partner told me, he was like, no, you have to calm down, slow down, and you have to greet them back. So when they say hi, you have to say, hi, how are you? And then you have to wait for them to answer, and then you answer. Like there's this whole tradition, like you will literally have a conversation with somebody for 15 minutes before they figure out what you want, or, it's crazy.
Wow.
So just slowing down and just not having the same expectations that things are going to be done in a hurry. Like if you want something done, you really have to give, you should build in like 2 weeks, 3 weeks time. Yeah. So it's a little bit slower of a culture. It's not as like go as America. That's the one thing culturally that I've had to, yeah.
Wow. Well, man, it's unfortunate we're going to have to cut this short, but daggone it, we need to talk to you again. This is fun.
This was fun.
I love the
you guys
energy.
were so much fun.
Yeah, we definitely want to have you back as you lead up to the summit so that we can learn more and let It Be Known family know about the summit and how you can bring wealth and just different experiences. Like you don't have to stay in America.
Yeah, you don't have to stay in America. And I also want to mention about the summit. So like, let's say you guys both want to come down, you're bringing your partner, but your partner is not even interested in wine, not interested in investment, but they just want to come to South Africa. They can come to South Africa. We have a non-summit participant package where they'll go see the penguins, they'll go on safari, they'll do a lot of other things other than the summit. So yeah, so if you still want to come, you can come, and you don't necessarily have to go to the summit. There is a non-summit package, and it's going to be fun. You still get to come to the parties of the summit, but you just don't have to come to the business and the networking if you want to come.
Wow, that is awesome. Well, listen, like I said, I wish you didn't have all those technical issues in the beginning. We lost some time with you, but we got to have you back. We so appreciate this, and certainly the energy. And I know that when we come out there to South Africa, we're gonna have some good wine, and you can tell us the real about the real Niele. Okay.
I can't wait to give you the scoop. Yes.
That's right. That's right. We want it all. Thanks for joining the Black Presses. Let It Be Known.
You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Afro Wine Week.
That's right.
Afro Wine Week, South Africa. Absolutely. Yeah, it's a shame that it's her her phone situation did was acting up in the beginning, and it's Friday. We have a staff meeting coming up and all that stuff, so we had to let her
Oh, I
go
forgot
a
about that.
lot.
Yeah, well, no,
Yeah, a
we'll
lot
have her
sooner than
back.
what. Yeah, a
Yeah,
lot sooner than what I would have liked. I love that energy. I love the fact. Anytime we have a
light as
guest
a
on.
feather. Light as a
Yeah.
feather.
Even if the MAGAs came on and they had that energy, I could deal a little bit more with them.
Okay, let's get into the quickies, okay? Because you all got a lot of time. We gotta be quick. We gotta be quick. All right.
Oh no, wait a minute.
No. We're not gonna do it.
Wait,
No, we
wait,
gotta go.
wait,
You
wait.
gotta go in a
Are
few
we really
minutes. You
about to
gotta
do it?
go. Yeah, we're really about to do it. And speaking of
That's your
expats,
girl.
speaking of expats, one of
Yes.
our expats is back. Onaja Robinson
Oh
is
my
spotted.
gosh.
Let's hear what she has to say on her return.
That happened in Dubai that I couldn't get over at the time, and that was it. How long were you there for? I was there for a month. Wow. After Pakistan. After Pakistan, yes, I was. That is so crazy. So then how did you end up getting out? Like, did you get in touch with the embassy or? Actually, I'll keep all that private and tell you guys that later. Okay, so I want to ask this. Are you? Yes, I am actually on a romantic date. We had we met through the internet, basically. Right. But is he in Pakistan? Yes, he is. No. So have you, okay, so when do you plan on going back? We're going to discuss that, but right now we all staying in New York soon. So that's real big. It's real big. It's real big. So we have to meet him. Wait. So we got to ask you, okay, really quickly. So you were asking for your money and your land. We got to ask you, did you get the money? Did you get the land? Listen, they going to give that land. They're going to give that land. They're going to give.
I like the other Onaja. I like the other one. She a little
right.
She a little too glam right there.
Yeah. Listen, Orange G says that lady's 5 cans short of a 6-pack, and and Mike V is asking, does she get to keep her black card?
Yeah, of course. She was a phenomenon. I love her in Pakistan.
We need people like her.
Yeah. She's all about the and more. And more.
Like Al Pacino said in Scarface, you need people like me.
Yeah, no. But it's good to see because she had went dark for a month, and we know sometimes over in Dubai, sometimes you get locked up for different reasons. There was another black woman who got locked up for something real frivolous.
I wouldn't be surprised if she was locked up in Dubai.
She said she wasn't. She just said that something happened, but she said she wasn't locked up. She's still claiming that she's married to the man in Pakistan. And so, she's still rolling with her story. And she said that she plans to go back to Pakistan. So,
paparazzi was everywhere. So her manager had to make sure. I was like, okay.
Yeah. So Onaja is back. And moving right along. I mean, I like the other Onaja, but I'm happy she's safe. Okay. I'm happy she's safe. But a couple of headlines that we should just know about and be aware of. U.S. job cuts hit over 270,000 plus in March of 2025. Now, this is the highest since the pandemic peak in 2020, surpassing the 2001 and 2008 recession. And a lot of this has to do with the federal job cuts and those reshaping the workforce. And so we have nobody else to blame but the Trump Klan administration for this.
Well,
and and then in another relative response to that, the U.S. is on track to set a new record for homeless people, and the new term is unhoused. We like to evolve. Husband, wife, now partner. So now the unhoused is supposed to set a new record with over close to 1 million people living on the streets.
Okay.
And this is only going to get worse.
Absolutely.
Under a Trump Klan administration. And then we want to switch over to some sports headline. Prayers are going up for Anthony Edwards, who suffered an injury last night to where he had to be carried off the court. And we know he needs his checks because he got a lot of babies out there
Boy,
and
is
probably
23
coming.
years old. And, you know, it is a disaster. It's a disaster. I don't care how much money you got. I don't care how much money you got. Why make kids if you're not going to be a dad? If you're not going to be the father, if you're not going to be daddy, why make the kids? He's talking about he don't care if he sees them or not. This guy, he raised wrong. He's raised wrong. He should lose his black card.
Well, he could be my daddy, okay, with all that money. Hey.
Here's the thing. There are many. Look, we talked about 50 Cent's child, right? All he wants is daddy time. And Anthony Edwards is saying, I don't want to even see you. I don't even from birth. So why are you going out there making these kids? Because you can.
Yeah. And he has the money to pay for them.
That makes it right.
I'm just saying, at least he has the financial resources to take care of the child.
Doesn't make it
and
right.
the mama can get married and get a daddy, or she can have her daddy. Okay. So
he's
got
gonna be
the
a
money.
baby making machine for other men.
Hey, Nick Cannon is.
Well, Nick Cannon at least spends time with his children. And he got 50,000 children. He makes sure to spend time with them.
I love how you justify who can and who can't, because I'm gonna give this.
I'm not justifying anything. I'm not even justifying Nick Cannon. I'm just saying, when you want to use that word at least Nick Cannon does take time to spend
10
with
minutes.
kids.
10 minutes. 10 minutes.
Listen, Anthony Edwards says he don't even want to see him. And they're not even born yet.
Y'all got to go to your meet. We're going to move on. Y'all got to go to your meet.
That nonsense in our community. Come on.
I don't have a problem with it as long as he takes care of the kids.
He take care of how? Financially?
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You know, and he's 20. And another thing, he's 23. So let him mature. He's not mature. Put a bag on it.
Put a bag on it.
Well, I mean, it's his prerogative. Bobby Brown said it best. It's his prerogative.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on.
Moving
on. No, he's not. No, he's not. I mean,
if he was broke, would you be saying the same thing?
No,
right,
I wouldn't.
Exactly.
No, but he has the money to take care of the kids. And first of all, as long
kids. He's gonna need more money than that. Ruin the kid's life.
If the woman don't have a problem with it, why do you? That's their business.
It's not about the woman either. I'm talking about the kids. The kids pay. Like Joni said, Dr. Joni said, the kids pay. I'm worried about these kids. These are the type of kids that gonna be serial killers.
Let grown folks handle their business. Moving along.
He's not grown, obviously.
He is grown. He's maturing, and we know that it takes men a little longer to mature. It takes men a lot longer to mature. What's mature about it is you have people like 50 Cent who don't take care of their kids. Okay.
Well, he's not taking
just because he doesn't. Yes, he is taking care of them. He don't want to be bothered right now, but he's taking care of them financially. Okay. And I'm pretty sure the baby's mamas appreciate that.
We need less of that in the Black community. And the baby mama, she's 40 years old. He's a teenager.
So moving along, Juju Watkins. Congratulations, sis, is the first player in USC history to be named AP Women's College Basketball Player of the Year. And so that's her second award this week.
And if she didn't win that award, it'd have been ridiculous. Who else could have won that award?
Yeah, she deserves it. She deserves it all. Absolutely. She deserves it all. It's bittersweet, but she deserves it all.
And Flau'jae announced she's coming back to she's not going into the WNBA draft.
Yeah, Cheryl Miller said it best. She was like, the college basketball is where you make your money these days, and the WNBA is where you get your fame. That's what Cheryl Miller said, and it's true. With all these NIL deals that are happening, why not? Why are you rushing to get to the WNBA where you're only gonna make $75,000 a year? You have the opportunity in college basketball to make millions.
Mm-hmm.
Why not? All right. Yeah, it does make sense. And so today, speaking of college March Madness, today starting at 4:00 Pacific Standard Time, which would be 7 your time, Texas versus South Carolina. Game to watch. And then followed by at 6:00, you have UConn versus UCLA. And then
that's the game.
The final two will set it off on Sunday. And then do you know what's happening with the men? We're not even talking about them.
We haven't even talked about the men. And we've lost interest in the men. Just being honest with y'all, we have no interest. Maybe RNG can fill us in on Monday when championship time. We can hear from him on that. But we have no interest in the men.
All right. And those are your quickies for today.
That's the quickies for today. Well, so who is losing their black card today? I saw everybody has some candidates, but mine is going out today to the black man who goes under the Twitter handle Tony X2 and his wife. They both losing their black cards permanently too. This is a permanent revocation.
What do they look like? Do we have a picture of them?
We should definitely have even a video of these two maggots. They released this video. I don't know where it's at right now, but with Tony, there it is. Tony wearing a MAGA hat. Do we have some sound?
MAGA hat. Why? I love it when he wears his MAGA hat, because not just because he looks sexy in it, y'all, but because it represents. Look, show him, baby. Ooh, because it represents this man's commitment to God, his commitment to his country, and his commitment to his family. And that is why I love it when my man, my husband of 18 years, wears his MAGA hat, because this is a symbol of making America great again. And on that note, I'm an African American.
Child.
Listen, they said there's somebody for everybody. There's nobody else for them two but them two, and they need to be just barred permanently from any piece of a cookout. And they probably do country, the old school country line dances. They probably have no idea what the Cupid shuffle is and all that stuff. These people are so lost.
So you're saying they put raisins in the potato salad?
They put raisins in their potato salads, just the way RNG would like them to do it.
Now look, we might not have agreed on much today, but we definitely agree that these two need to get their black card rejected.
Oh my God. I call people like that folks in blackface. That's all that is. Come on. Talking about his commitment. The hat shows his commitment to God and family. And country.
All right. So our pop quiz question has a teaser and a hint, which is: her rise from poverty to wealth proved Black women's power and potential, showing how entrepreneurship could drive both personal success and uplift the community during Jim Crow. And the question is, for those who might have just now be tuning in, our Black History Pop Culture Quiz for question of the day is:
at the 1917 Negro Business League convention, she said, "I don't just make money. I create jobs for hundreds of women of my race." All right. So are we going to do a couple of black facts before we get the answer?
Yep.
All right. So on this date, as you all know, this is April the 4th. And on this date in 1968, the unthinkable, the unconscionable, one of the most racist acts in American history occurred. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. Terrible.
All right. And on this date in 1972, Adam Clayton Powell died. Now, who was that?
April 4th is just a bad day.
Now, who was this man? Give us some history facts. I'm a little too young.
Adam Clayton Powell, there's a street named after him too in Harlem, New York. But Adam Clayton Powell was, he was a civil rights leader. He was a congressman too, right? Greer, Adam Clayton Powell also was a congressman, I believe. But gosh, we got to brush up on our own history, right?
Well, this is what the show is for, because maybe somebody
Harlem, yes. Exactly.
Okay, see, the chat helps us. They start throwing out millionaires today. I'm taking that energy into the weekend, So this is a community. We family. We build a community. We're informing each other.
He was right. He was certainly a big time member of the NAACP, and he was married to Hazel Scott. this guy, you know, he's one of Harlem's kings for sure. I mean, he represented Harlem neighborhood. Yes, he was a congressman from 1945 until 1971. Adam Clayton Powell. Yeah, this another superhero of the civil rights movement.
And I like how you did that. We did that today too, because we know Dr. King, but there's so many other hidden figures that we don't know about. So to know about, you know, Rep Powell is important. And I appreciate that.
Yeah. And he was pretty young when he died. I think it was 60 something years old when he died. So that's our Black History moments for April 4th. I was gonna say August 4th, April 4th. He was only surpassed by Charlie Rangel. You're right, David Youngblood. And so
what's the answer? Pop quiz answer. We're ready. Yes. We're ready.
Yes, as we mentioned that Clayton Powell was also a very good friend of the Black Press. But Madam C.J. Walker, of course, is the answer. Boy, I guess everybody got that one. Greer, you're gonna have to make the questions a little tougher now.
No, not all the time. Yes. Let us feel smart. I feel smart today. I feel smart.
The fact that Niele got it immediately just sends
I got two right this week, okay?
But this one you got immediately, so I'm like, I don't like that.
Because we was talking about money. We talking about money. We got to be on our P's and Q's. We'll be talking about money. Look, there she is, the queen.
In all her glory.
I might go back and watch the Netflix special that Octavia Spencer played in. She played Madam C.J. Walker on the Netflix biography of her. I might go watch that today.
Wow. It's amazing when you look at those who've come before us and what they were able to accomplish in times like what we are going through now.
And they had it a lot harder.
A whole lot harder. Yes. That is a great picture, Dr. Joni. Okay, so our Black-owned newspaper of the day is the Madison Times. As one of the oldest minority businesses in Madison, the Madison Times, Madison, Wisconsin, folks, is greatly established within its community. Its journalistic excellence attracts a diverse audience with over 24,000 people reading it every single week. The Madison Times is delivered weekly to over 200 locations in Madison and the surrounding area. So our Black-owned newspaper of the day is none other than the Madison Times. And Dr. Joni too says that's her hometown. There you go.
Hey.
So, wow. So you can check out their website, like all of our member newspapers. Check out their websites. They are doing stuff. It's a weekly distributed, but it's a daily online news paper. So check it out and get your news from Black-owned newspapers.
Yeah, you just might find one of those stories on BlackPressUSA, where we gather all of the stories from the Black newspapers across the country, in addition to some great stories from Stacy, Lauren, April D. Ryan. And so we're keeping you up to date, and we are the pulse of what's happening in Black America. So for the latest in Black news 24/7, visit BlackPressUSA.com.
Real quick, April, speaking of April, she and Dr. Chavez were at the NAN convention. April was on a panel with Don Lemon
and Reese Colbert.
And Reese Colbert.
Yeah.
I like Reese. Yeah. Reese receipts.
Right. I actually did a post. If you're not following, follow me on Instagram at Niele LA. And I reposted something that Reese posted about Black journalists and how we all have a part to play. And she actually brought up April and was saying how April, can we pull that clip up on my page and play it real quick, Greer? Reese was talking about how the ecosystem of Black media and how everybody has a part to play. The social media commentators, April D. Ryan being in the White House, but how all of us take a part in a role to play to amplify Black stories. It was really good. There it is right there. Let's listen to that.
We have journalists who do original reporting, and we have commentators. So I'm a commentator. I'm not working the beat. I'm going to be honest with you. So I can say whatever the hell I want to say. We're going to check it for. But April is in the trenches. And so April has to make a different calculation than what I do. But thanks to April's reporting, now I know what's happening inside the house. And I can say, this mama cannot believe it. And what I can do it. So if we all in the team. Seats. And then, on the low, the Germans coming in, no, girl, tell me if you did it. Or they call me when they are going to be like, Lucy, I need a quote. And so this is a team. Black media is a team. It ain't a whole lot of us. It ain't a whole lot of people left on the big networks, but there are those of us who are doing the work regardless of the title, regardless of the network. And some of us can say something, some people can't. Don't make the people that can't any less, don't make the people that can't any more. So all I'm saying is that we gotta stop the racking and stacking and recognize that we all play a role. And we all, through the work that we do in our lives, uplift each other.
Well, there you have it. Listen, Reese with the receipts. That's my girl. She is always on point. Niele, it's been real. It's been really real. And we'll get at it again next week. Thanks for joining.
Have a great weekend.